Welcome to Task and Tune, where we break down the world's most pressing issues for you to enjoy while you work, drive, or relax. If you're ready to understand the dynamics of Russia's influence in 2024 and beyond, hit subscribe and let's get started. When you think of global powerhouses, Russia's name is always near the top. A vast country with an intricate balance of military might and diplomacy, Russia has shaped the world in ways few other nations can match. But how does it do this? And how is Russia navigating a world that's increasingly hostile to its ambitions? In today's video, we're going to explore Russia's global influence in depth, from its military interventions and alliances to its diplomatic strategies. We'll cover everything from its ongoing conflict with Ukraine in 2024 to its alliances with China and Iran. This is the full picture of Russia's role on the global stage, and it's a story you don't want to miss. Russia's influence didn't appear overnight. To truly understand its present-day strategies, we need to take a step back. From the height of the Cold War, Russia, then the Soviet Union, was locked in a global competition with the United States. The two superpowers clashed on every front imaginable: military, space, economics, and, crucially, diplomacy. In the 1990s, following the Soviet Union's collapse, many predicted Russia's decline. The West saw it as a diminished power. But Russia, under the leadership of figures like Boris Yeltsin and later Vladimir Putin, took a different path. While its economy struggled, Russia leaned heavily on its military heritage and vast natural resources to maintain global influence. And through diplomacy, it began reasserting itself, playing a calculated game in the UN and international organizations, proving that even without the Soviet might, Russia would not fade quietly. Russia's comeback wasn't just about reviving its military power, it was about reclaiming a place at the table of global powers, using both force and finesse. Fast forward to 2024, and Russia stands as one of the world's most formidable military powers. With the world's second-largest nuclear arsenal and significant conventional forces, Russia's military is a tool not just of defense, but of projection. Nuclear arsenal: Russia's nuclear strategy is central to its defense posture. Holding the second-largest stockpile in the world, Russia has always emphasized the nuclear deterrent as a way to ensure its security against NATO expansion. In 2024, that nuclear arsenal remains modernized, with hypersonic missile programs like the Avangard system showcasing Russia's military innovation. Military technology: beyond nukes, Russia has invested in next-generation military technology. From advanced fighter jets like the Su-57 to cutting-edge tanks like the T-14 Armata, Russia aims to keep pace with Western militaries. And don't forget about its presence in space and cyberspace, areas where it has been particularly aggressive. Russia's military is not just about defense. It's a signal to the world that it's ready to project power and defend its interests anywhere, anytime. Perhaps nowhere is Russia's military might more apparent and controversial than in its ongoing war with Ukraine, which, as of 2024, is still unfolding. The conflict, which began with the annexation of Crimea in 2014, escalated dramatically in February 2022 when Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The 2024 status: in 2024, the war has become a grinding conflict, with neither side gaining decisive ground. Russia controls large swathes of eastern Ukraine, particularly the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, but Ukraine has mounted fierce resistance, bolstered by Western military support. NATO and EU sanctions against Russia remain severe, impacting its economy. But Moscow has continued the war effort, buoyed by revenue from energy exports to countries like China and India. Human cost and global impact: the war has claimed tens of thousands of lives and displaced millions. For Russia, it's a demonstration of power, but also a diplomatic challenge. The West's response, through sanctions and military aid to Ukraine, has isolated Russia from many global institutions. Yet Russia has doubled down on its alliances with non-Western powers. Russia's war in Ukraine isn't just about territorial control. It's a battle for global influence, one that pits Moscow against the West in a high-stakes geopolitical game. While Russia's military may get the headlines, its diplomatic maneuvers are just as critical. Russia excels at playing a long diplomatic game, one that blends alliances, strategic negotiations, and calculated tensions. Russia's relations with Western nations have been strained since the annexation of Crimea in 2014, and the war in Ukraine has only worsened that. Despite this, Russia continues to engage in international forums, like the United Nations, where it wields veto power on the Security Council to block resolutions against its interests. It's a reminder that despite sanctions and isolation, Russia cannot be fully cut off from global diplomacy. Alliances with China and Iran. Perhaps Russia's most significant diplomatic achievement is its deepening ties with China and Iran. China and Russia, though not natural allies, have found common ground in countering Western influence. Their economic cooperation, especially in energy, has allowed Russia to bypass Western sanctions. The Sino-Russian relationship is complex, but as of 2024, it stands stronger than ever, symbolized by joint military exercises and diplomatic cooperation in forums like BRICS. Meanwhile, Russia's relationship with Iran has bolstered its influence in the Middle East. Russia's involvement in the Syrian civil war, backing Bashar al-Assad, proved how its military power could be paired with strategic diplomacy to shape regional outcomes. In a world where friends are hard to find, Russia has carefully cultivated alliances that defy expectations, proving that its influence is far from diminished. In addition to military and diplomatic power, Russia wields another significant tool: energy. Russia is one of the world's largest producers of oil and natural gas, and this gives it tremendous leverage, particularly over Europe and Asia. Energy exports. Even as Europe tries to wean itself off Russian energy, in 2024, Russia continues to find buyers for its oil and gas, particularly in Asia. China and India have increased their imports, helping Moscow weather Western sanctions. The Nord Stream pipelines may have faced setbacks, but Russia's energy infrastructure is vast, and it remains a crucial player in global energy markets. Weaponizing energy. Russia has often been accused of using energy as a weapon, cutting off supplies to Ukraine and parts of Europe during political disputes. This tactic has forced Europe to scramble for alternative energy sources, but in doing so, Russia has cemented its position as a key player in the global energy economy. While tanks and missiles may capture attention, it's Russia's control of energy that often turns the tide in its favor. Despite its strained relations with the West, Russia continues to wield significant influence in international organizations. From the United Nations to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, Russia plays a key role in shaping global decisions. United Nations and the veto power. Russia's permanent seat on the UN Security Council gives it a critical veto power, which it has used repeatedly to block resolutions unfavorable to its interests. This makes it a central player in global diplomacy, regardless of Western sanctions. BRICS and CO. Beyond the West, Russia is a prominent member of BRICS, alongside Brazil, India, and South Africa, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. These groups are becoming increasingly important as alternatives to Western-dominated institutions like the World Bank and NATO. Russia's involvement here signals its desire to build a multipolar world where it can lead alongside China and other non-Western powers. Russia's influence isn't just about brute force, it's about crafting a world where it can thrive, even as Western powers try to push it out. Of course, Russia's global influence is not without its challenges. In 2024, Moscow faces economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and internal dissent. These factors, combined with the war in Ukraine, have strained its economy and tested its alliances. Sanctions and economic struggles. Western sanctions have hit Russia's economy hard, limiting access to technology and foreign investments. Yet Russia has adapted, focusing on domestic industries and strengthening ties with China and India. The future. So what have we learned today? Russia's global influence is built on a powerful mix of military strength, strategic diplomacy, and economic leverage, particularly in the energy sector. From the ongoing conflict in Ukraine to its complex alliances with China and Iran, Russia continues to play a central role on the global stage. Despite facing significant challenges, Moscow's influence remains resilient, proving that it is far from fading into the background. If you found this deep dive into Russia's military and diplomatic power insightful, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe to Task and Tune for more in-depth explorations of global politics, economics, and power struggles, all designed for you to listen to while you work, drive, or relax. Join us next time as we continue to break down the world's most important issues. This is Task and Tune, where knowledge meets productivity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.